Good morning. Talks between Ukraine and Russia have now started, according to the Ukrainian advisor to President Zelensky. They're taking place on the country's border with Belarus, while the world waits to see if they could lead to a ceasefire. The curfew on the Ukrainian capital has lifted. Volodymyr Zelensky also made a direct appeal to Russian soldiers, telling them to save your lives and leave, and asked for Ukraine to be allowed to join the EU immediately. In Russia, the economic sanctions have started to hit. With the latest, here's Martha Fairley.
This is the place where this morning all attention is focused. The plush settings for a diplomatic meeting. Peace talks between Ukraine and Russia on the border of Belarus, with the hope that an end might be found to the conflict. But the day began in Ukraine as it has for several days now, with air raid sirens sounding over the capital, Kyiv. While the curfew in the city has ended, the streets remain deserted. To the north, more Russian forces and armoured vehicles have been seen moving towards the capital. And in Kharkiv, troops were filmed moving through a residential area. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky addressing the invading force directly, telling them 4,500 Russian invaders killed. Leave your hardware and leave. Don't trust your commanders. Don't trust your propaganda. Just save your lives. Leave. Russian invading forces are said to have taken over the southeastern town of Berdyansk, although on the fifth day after they entered Ukraine, they still do not control any major cities. Vladimir Putin's move to put his nuclear forces on heightened alert is being described by Britain's Defence Secretary as part of a battle rhetoric.
Well, he didn't say high alert, he said he put them on special combat duty. We don't recognise that in their doctrine, it's not in their doctrine. We assess at the moment that what he was saying is, first of all, to the world, I've got a deterrent, don't you forget it. And secondly, a distraction from what's going on in Ukraine. You know, we're all talking about it, we're not talking about the fact he has not achieved his goals as yet.
As Russian troops continue to threaten the capital, Ukrainian army reservists are making their own preparations. Their hopes are for successful peace talks, but if not, they are ready to fight. Martha Fairley, ITV News.
Let's join our Europe editor James Mates in Kyiv. Day 5 of the invasion. What's the mood like there now?
When we know that peace talks are going on. We've seen pictures of the Ukrainian delegation arriving a couple of hundred kilometres north of here, up on the border, quite near to the Chernobyl power plant, in fact. What we wait to see is whether this is a serious negotiation on the part of the Russians, whether there are conditions under which they will end this offensive, or are they simply trying to prove that the Ukrainians are not prepared to talk peace, and that it's therefore their fault when another huge attack starts. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens there. There have been quite a lot of heavy artillery attacks up in Kharkiv, but we wait to see here in Kiev for the time being what happens in the talks.
James Mates for now, thank you very much. Back here with thousands of refugees fleeing Ukraine every day, the UK government has been criticised for not doing enough to help. Our political correspondent Carl Dinnan is at Westminster. What's the latest from the government, Carl?
Well, the Defence Secretary, who you heard a little while ago, did suggest that the British position may change. It has been complicated by the European Union making a very generous offer, saying that any Ukrainians come to the EU for up to 3 years without even having to claim asylum. By contrast, at the moment, Britain will only let in people who have close relatives here, and even that's been very tightly drawn. It's spouses and children, possibly not even brothers or sisters. But the Home Secretary is due on her feet in the House of Commons later, and she may well change that offer. The question is by how much. Elsewhere, the government is ratcheting up the sanctions. This morning, the Prime Minister announced that it would be illegal for any British business or person to do business with the Russian Central Bank or Ministry of Finance.
Carl Dinnan, thank you for that. Do join us for the very latest at midday. Until then, you'll find updates on our website at the usual address, itv.com/news.